In this video, we are making streusel, otherwise known as crumb topping. Now the key with making streusel or crumb topping is that you start with very cold fat, and so in this instance we're using butter, and you will see that this is the cut-in method again. Cut-in method strikes again. So with cut-in method, of course, I showed you how to do it by hand, and this method is doing it with the machine, because if you think about making streusel topping for 1,000 muffins, you're not going to be sitting there by hand and doing it. So in production bakeries, they use large mixers, way bigger than the one that I have shown here, to make streusel topping for by the gallon, okay, by the kilo. So all you need to do is make sure you have very, very cold butter or cold fat, and with the paddle attachment, and I have all of the dry ingredients in there, and so I'm just letting the mixer go on a low speed. And the key also is to ensure that you don't let it go too far, because if you let it mix too far, it becomes a cohesive hard dough, and you will have made a streusel block at that point. And you want to keep it crumbly, but also you want to make sure that the butter pieces get down to that pea size or oatmeal size pieces. And I also have put the detail there that if you are making this by hand, absolutely you can use your bowl scraper like I did in the flaky biscuits video, or you can also use a pastry cutter as well. Now you might be wondering, what do you use streusel topping for, and what is it exactly? Well, I'm sure that you've actually eaten it before if you've had a muffin with the crumb topping, coffee cake, perhaps you've had Dutch apple pie with the crumb topping. It's a really delicious addition to any baked good, in my opinion. It gets crunchy, it has a little bit of a sweetness to it, but you can also incorporate your own spices into it as well. It's easily customizable. If you wanted to make it vegan, you could possibly use vegan butter here, but you just have to make sure it's super, super cold. And I love streusel because it tastes delicious whether it's baked or unbaked. And so whenever we used to make it in class, sometimes the students would sneak a bite of it because technically, you know, there's no raw eggs in here or anything that would be compromising. So they would sneak a couple bites, like eating raw cookie dough. So take a look to see at the progression of my streusel. You can see that it looks a little bit wetter than it did about 30 seconds ago, and that's because now the butter is getting a little bit softer, but it's also getting smaller. And this is the area where you want to be careful, because if you turn away for even 30 seconds, it can overmix on you, and then you'll have, well, basically, like I said, you have a big lump of dough. So you want to make sure that it does not overmix. So I'll stop the mixer in just a second here, and we will assess the size of the butter chunks. Now, what happens if you actually do overmix your streusel though? The good news is that you can still use it, but you have to literally break up the pieces on your own, and that takes forever. So, you know, the best way is just not overmix it in the first place. So see here, I'm assessing that the crumbs are coming together, and the way that I've tested it is that I've just taken a little bit and I squished it in my hand, and then it comes together like a dough. And you can see here that this is what it looks like at the end. I'm storing it in a good container that is, the container is well sealed. You can freeze this for 3 months. You can refrigerate it for 1 month, and it's just a great ingredient to have for your baking needs. Good luck!